24.1% for non-agricultural tariffs. That is a reasonable country that is serious about the progress of its economy. India is precise on what they want to do, because you see what importation will do to your economy. It is going to cripple, stabilize, and reduce the development of the country, because it is going to destroy local production. That's exactly what it is going to do. So what I am trying to make you see here is that India is doing what is right to safeguard and secure their own economy. However, you will see some strange comments by some organization that have their agendas precise. So what India is trying to avoid, India is trying to ensure that its self-sufficiency is not tampered with, especially food self-sufficiency, and that is why you can see that it increased the tariff of agricultural produce significantly in order to ensure that they motivate local production of these goods. So one problem we have here in sub-Saharan Africa is that the food self-sufficiency has been destroyed by some strange organization which I'll not be mentioning in this video, but I'll be putting them in my upcoming video, so stay tuned for the full gist. At least food self-sufficiency is what every human or every country should be entitled to. However, some organization has destroyed the food self-sufficiency of sub-Saharan African countries in order to ensure that they have control and they keep their stranglehold on these countries. And I'm so impressed that India is not giving any chance for that, because when you are not food sufficient, it means you have to import most of the time, which will only be destroying your economy. India's average tariff increased to 14.3% in FY21, 18% in FY15, with the country's policy makers frequently using trade policy measures to encourage domestic production and curb inflation. In Nigeria today, cassava flour, the one that is popularly known as gari or yuca flour, rose from 300 naira to 700 naira. It's more than doubled. That's for the white variety. Now for the yellow variety, that one rose from minimal of 400 to 900. The price doubled as well, more than doubled. That is what food inflation can look like. And gari has now turned to something that is like gold. That's to tell you how food inflation is terrible. You literally, there's nothing you can eat and be so sure that you can buy and rebuy that kind of thing, because everything is costly. That's what food inflation can look like. And I'm so happy that India is taking all precautions to stop that. Their policy makers are very smart in that aspect, and I'm happy for that. However, the enemies like friend, the World Trade Organization, WTO, said its latest
trade policy review for Asia's third largest economy, while the overall goal remains to increase exports. Since policy making in India is focused on domestic issues, trade policy is frequently used to encourage domestic production, domestic inflation and supply objectives. Changes are made as required import and export restrictions and the tariffs to ensure stable domestic supplies of key products. The WTO Secretariat said in its report holding that frequent changes in import and export policy create uncertainty economic, and now they are telling India they should reduce the tariff on importation of goods in order to ensure that they can bring more goods into the country, which will then reduce local production and with time destroy the economy of the country. Is that an advice or an initiative that will cause serious damage to the country in question? Look at the reason they are stating, how unsustainable and irrelevant the reason is. They said holding that frequent changes in import and export policy creates uncertainty for economic actors. It creates uncertainty. And the more you put tariffs on the importation of goods, the more you boost local production, the more your economy will grow. But then India and the WTO, World Trade Organization, are definitely not on the same page. However, internal trade receives inadequate attention both in the government and outside in India, with inward focus being visible across most institutions, both in the public and private sectors, said a high-level advisory group of WTO in its report released in September. You see, what I want you to know is that a part of the policymakers, they've positioned themselves at a very high position to make you feel that what they are saying, everything they say is right, when most of it is for their interest. You see, in my last video, I was talking and I was like, we need to think properly in Africa before we start signing any trade deal or agreement, or even before when it comes to ties between foreign countries, because these people always have their priorities and interests set precisely that they are not losing their heads to any form of offer outside their own interest. So we need to be careful. So now you can see WTO giving India an advice. Meanwhile, earlier on, India and China has been trying to secure their position in the world business, let me put it that way, because these two countries were once referred to as underdeveloped. But now, these people, they are seeing position. And this is creating problems for especially the Western and Europe countries. There's countries in the West. So, don't you think this could be an attempt to crown their plan to destroy this people's economy? Because you can obviously, the battle between US and China, which was just my last video, and now you can see the next country that is trying to claim their position, which is India. You can see WTO also taking their slight steps. The report called for a reduction of the tariff for making it simple and more predictable. With regard to agriculture, it recommends that there must not be a stop and start policy on export and import of agricultural products, because that
farmers from taking objective decisions on sowing different crops. So what they are advising India to do is they should make sure there is no stop and there is no start, which means they should just keep it constant. They should keep the tariff on agriculture constant. Because of this, they are filthy and unreliable excuse. I'll give you a reason why I'm seriously against all these people. Their interests are precise. They don't care. A short while ago, the World Bank instructed the whole world. They gave an order that if you have subsidies on agriculture, then you can keep them. But once you don't have subsidy, you are not allowed to put subsidies on henceforth. And that's why you see that in sub-Saharan African countries, the government can put subsidies on crude oil, but they don't put subsidies and they don't assist the farming sector. That's why you see that the self-sufficiency in terms of food has been seriously damaged. And this is the work of this kind of advice. The World Bank, similar organization, they said, oh, don't put subsidies on agriculture, it's very bad. And US and Europe countries, US has a very high budget for their farmers. Likewise, Europe, the biggest budget in the biggest allocation in their budget is farming, with a worth of $300 billion to support their farmers. And then they are telling sub-Saharan African countries that don't put subsidies. That is a result of this kind of advice. They will give you an advice like they are trying to help you. Meanwhile, the agenda is precise. India's average agricultural tariff rose from 36.4 in FY15 to 36.5% in FY21, while average non-agricultural tariff rose from 9.5 to 11.5 during the same period. The most important increase in non-agricultural goods included clothing from 10%, and I'm so happy about this particular one because in one of my upcoming videos I'm going to talk about what happened between India and the British government, that's UK. They saw that India was a very progressive country in terms of production of cottons and textiles. And this story I'm telling you is from the colonial period. India was beating British local producer or local manufacturer to the extent that even when government put a 75% tariff on cottons and textiles, Indians were still beating them. And so, do you know what these people did? They are so hypocritical that they ensure that all textile producing industry in India, they force them to shut down in order to ensure they cannot meet up with their own standards. That's to tell you
how evil these people can be. Just because of people are more productive than you, the only thing you can do is to destroy their industries. It is quite sad and very bad. So I'm so happy that India is now putting a very high tariff on clothing, because India need to rise again in terms of this cotton and textile production. They need to take their place. I'm totally on their side. Other increase are on oil seeds, fats, oil and their products from 26.7% to 35.1%, and sugar confectionery 35.4% to 47% in the case of non-agricultural products. The average tariff increased mainly as a result of a hike in duties levied on leathers, leathers, rubber, footwear and travel goods from 12.8% to 15.4%. So that is a good way to retaliate, since the duty levies are so high. That's just a way a reasonable economist will go about solving that kind of problem. India's tariff rates range from 0 to 150%, with 67.8% of all tariff lines between 0% and 10%. 2.1% higher than 10% and up to 30% and 4% tariff lines between rates above 30%. Sorry about the details, it is so because I'm trying to ensure that I give you full and adequate information on this channel. The most common tariff rate continues to be 10%, that is 31.7%, and 7.5, 24.4%. The highest rate above 60% applies to products such as alcoholic beverages, followed by animals and their products, fruits, vegetables and plants, coffee and tea, and certain motor vehicles with tariffs of 100%. WTO said trade policy reviews are an exercise mandated in WTO agreements. You can see they have to review your policy in order to ensure that your system is serving the trade-related policies of members are examined at regular interval. Key developments that may impact the global trading system are also monitored. India's previous trade policy review was conducted in 2014, and now they are doing their next review, and they found out this, and they are trying to stop or try to give a depreciating kind of advice. I'm grateful for what the India government are doing. It is very right. Any reasonable government and the country should ensure that they boost local production of materials. And that's exactly why, if there's any reason I'm going to give kudos to the Nigerian president in person of Muhammadu Buhari, is just because he has stimulated the production of rice, local rice in Nigeria. That's all. It is very great progress, and I hope that such is maintained. This is where we draw the curtain for this video. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah guys, that was it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give the video a thumbs up. We put out amazing video every 7 days, so you can consider subscribing to the channel so we can have amazing progress within a short period of time. We'll be more than grateful because we know that you guys enjoyed yourself, and yes, we'll be happy if you can get us to 1,000 subscribers within a short time. Yeah, we are so grateful. See you next time. Bye.